How's it going, my RWBY fans? Alright, so this is going to be my review / discussion of the latest chapter, Chapter 11 of Volume 4 of RWBY, and I am really excited to talk about this because this was a very heavy chapter. It dealt with like different parts. We had 5 main parts within this chapter, and that ending is teasing us for the finale of this volume, and I really can't wait to see that, next week, or this upcoming Saturday, because that ending, I really can't wait for it. But I just want to dive right into this chapter, Chapter 11, because we had 5 main parts in this chapter. Count them 5. So we had our bad guys, we had, Cinder, Salem, and eventually Tyrian actually ended up showing up in this chapter. And then we also got all of Team RWBY, all 4 of our girls, back in another episode, which is very nice to see. I like that. This is probably the second time this volume that we've had all 4 girls within an episode. So I just want to dive right into this chapter because the first thing we see in this chapter is Cinder kind of practicing. She's in a little like cage match between a bunch of Grimm, and the episode beginning reminded me a lot of the finale of Volume 3 because there were some slashes of fire or her semblance or even the maiden power that she possesses, because the way that the slashes were going, it was kind of like her battle with Ozpin when we couldn't see anything happening yet, and there was just, these flames going all about. So I really like that. I think that was probably, a callback to the volume, and I really like that touch. But, it opens up with her just fighting all these bunch of Grimm, and we actually get introduced to the Berengal Grimm, that Gorilla Grimm, and we haven't seen that Grimm at all this volume, and we only got introduced to it within the Volume 4 trailer. So even though that was like that new Grimm that got us hyped for this new volume coming out, we haven't seen it until this latest chapter. So we saw it in the Volume 4 trailer, where RWBY fought it within that town, and now here where Cinder is battling it, and she took it out with ease. She took it out no problem, actually, and it actually gave RWBY a harder time within that trailer than it did with Cinder here. But it also brings up that question is like, Salem comes in and kind of confronts Salem right then and there, asking her, it's like, what are you doing? Why aren't you giving it your best? So like, it kind of just shows right now that Cinder is holding back with the amount of power, and I think she's fearful of the power that she possesses, or it's just that she's too injured to access it to the full capabilities that she's able to. And Salem is not having it. She is calling Cinder out and basically saying, it's like, what are you doing? You better start pulling your weight because I'm tired of this shit. So that was really like a weird moment too, because it kind of just shows in like a brief moment that Cinder's kind of terrified of Salem in that moment. She has like a very worried face on her, so I'm really interested to see where that goes, but it gets interrupted very quickly because Tyrian shows up. So as we know, Tyrian is very injured, and he comes back begging for his goddess's forgiveness. He views Salem as like this deity. He absolutely worships her, and it just kind of shows that he wants the love and admiration that Salem's able to give, and it's like it kind of shows that like how devoted Tyrian is, even though he's this psychotic character that we've come to know throughout this new volume since he's just been introduced. But as Salem shows, like, she doesn't even care about anything that Tyrian has to say. She just wants results, and Tyrian comes back saying that no, he wasn't able to accomplish the task that he was sent out for, and she just blatantly tells him, it's like, no, you disappoint me. She just walks away. But it was very interesting too, because there's this one line she says, and I'm not sure if it has anything to do with it, and I wrote it down too, because what she ends up saying to Tyrian as she turns her back towards him is saying, the last eye is blinded. So I have no idea what that means. I'm not sure if that's going to come into play either in the next episode, the finale of this volume, or in future volumes, if we're going to find out what the hell that she's talking about there. But I just thought that was very interesting, and it actually got me thinking, and I just had to write it down because I had no idea what she was saying at that moment. But, Tyrian is just left there to sob in his pity. He's upset with himself, and we have this Grimm in the background that is about to pounce on him, and I actually thought, it's like, no way, are they gonna kill off Tyrian right then and there? But, Tyrian realizes this Grimm is behind him, and he just absolutely, like, brushes it aside like it's nothing, and he ends up pouncing on it. And this was something that's very different, and it kind of gives us a little delve into the overall character of Tyrian, because I wrote it down here is like, this is kind of showing us Tyrion's true nature, and it kind of just shows how he takes all of his anger and frustration out on this Grimm, because usually when we see our main characters battle a Grimm, it's one attack, one slice, or one fatal attack, and the Grimm dissipates. But in this circumstance, Tyrian actually takes his time. He doesn't want this Grimm to just dissipate right then and there. He's actually taking his time and stabbing it and actually causing it pain, and I actually felt sorry for the Grimm as it started to go on, because usually they just dissipate right then and there. But Tyrian is that type of character where he enjoys inflicting pain. He enjoys the misery he's able to put people in, and he wanted this to be a slow, grueling process for that Grimm, so that way he could actually heal himself and feel better about himself, because as he's stabbing this Grimm, to death. He's literally murdering this thing. It's like not even killing it. He's murdering this thing. He starts off crying and eventually goes into like, he ends up getting happy. He ends up having this maniacal laughter come back, and he's kind of soothing himself in a way with this therapeutic murder that he's performing on this Grimm. And we see Cinder in the background like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? And who are the friends or so-called friends that I'm in line with? And what did I end up choosing? Did I end up picking the wrong side? That's the kind of feeling I kind of got with Cinder, and I feel she's kind of weighing and feeling bad about the decisions she's made that led her up to this moment. So that's kind of where we're left off with the bad guys. We're left off with Tyrian going in on a Grimm and just with that maniacal laughter. I absolutely love his character. His character is one of the best that got introduced in this volume, and I absolutely love the psychotic characters. So we end up leaving that location to a much more soothing location. We actually get Yang. Not much happens within her section, but I absolutely love getting to see her. But what we do get in here is some very cool moments, because not only is she, you know, fully realized and she's kind of okay with what has happened to her, she's actually spray painting her robot arm the same color as her gauntlet. And I saw that and I was like, yes, I'm so happy that she's doing that. It gave me a big smile on my face. And it just shows like the progression that her character has gone through, that she's okay with what has happened to her and she's ready to move forward. And so she paints her arm the same color as her gauntlet. It looks absolutely badass. And she ends up going into the shed where she unveils her motorcycle, and she's about to go off on a new journey, a new path for herself. She's ready to leave home. And then, you know, Ty confronts her, and we get this simple question, and we're kind of left to speculate about where is Yang going to be going, because Ty simply asks her, where are you going to go? Like, what is the path that you need to go on, and what needs to be done for you? Because we're left with two options at this point. We're left with RWBY. She can go look for RWBY because this is her sister. She left home, and she needs to make sure that, you know, that her baby sister is okay. And so that's one possible location that she could be headed to. Another one could be Raven, because Raven got brought up within the conversation between Ty and Yang, and this is probably something that could be good development for Yang, because she hasn't really... This is probably the biggest thing in her backstory, because Yang has never met really her mother, or she was gone at a very young age and hasn't really talked with her, and this could help her move forward with whatever's holding her back. My prediction is that she's going to end up going towards RWBY and, you know, finding her sister, making sure that she's okay. And I don't think this is going to happen by the end of the next episode, you know, the finale of this volume. I think that we're going to see her on her journey, and then volume 5 is actually where we're going to get all 4 girls teaming up together. So that's where I see that going. But like I said, Yang was a very simple part of this chapter, and then we actually move on to Weiss. So now with Weiss. So Weiss is finally breaking out. She's having help from Klein to escape this prison that her father has her in, and, you know, she's able to leave. And we actually get some key details about where she is going and what's going on overall within Mistral as well, because as she's about to escape, she hears a conversation going about between Ironwood and Jacques, her father, and they're talking about how Winter is actually stationed in Mistral. She's giving updates on the overall, like, what's going on over there, how the tension's building, and how it seems like another beacon is going to be happening over at Haven. So there's like arms being dealt out, there's overall panic. So Ironwood is basically putting in martial law over in Atlas, and basically saying within 1 week all the borders are going to be closed, and no one has the authority to go or to leave or to stay without the authority of Ironwood. So martial law is about to be put in place. It's good that that Weiss is actually getting out right now, because I don't think if she left a week later she'd be able to. I think it'd be a lot harder. So Weiss leaves that conversation. She ends up locking the door so that way none of them can get out. So she's able to escape through a secret tunnel in her library. And I was watching this episode, I'm like, if you have a castle, which I bet that's what the Schnee family has, they have a castle, there's bound to be secret passageways in and out of the castle. And so that is the case, and Klein helps her escape, which is really nice to see. And we find out that Weiss is in fact going to Mistral to look for her sister Winter, and I think as she's on her journey looking for her sister, that's what she's going to run into RWBY and the gang, and then we're going to get the, you know, that team up, that reunion that we've been looking forward to between RWBY and Weiss. But that was it for Weiss's part of this chapter, and then we're moving on straight into Blake. We start off with seeing Sun. He's okay. I wasn't too worried about his character. And we see that, you know, Blake is blaming herself once again for everything that has happened. And it was very nice to see, actually, that Sun was like the smart one in this conversation, because Sun was able to give her advice on what I think a lot of people have been kind of like screaming at Blake through the screens. It's like, this isn't your fault. We are people too. We can make our own decisions. You can't make our decisions for us. And if we decide that we want to stick around and help you, then you don't have the choice to tell us what we can and can't do. It's like, we're going to make this choice on our own, and you just have to deal with that. because we're all people, we all can make our own decisions. And it was actually very nice to see Sun in this type of light, because he tends to be, you know, the comic relief. He's the goofy guy within this relationship he has with Blake. But it was very nice to see him actually be the voice of reason within this episode and actually get Blake to smile and laugh and call him her hero, which was actually very nice. But I absolutely loved that Kali did the same exact thing that Sun did for eavesdropping in chapter 8. I got a good laugh out of that, and you could tell that, like, Kali really likes Sun, but you know that Gira does not like Sun at all, so it's very nice to see this dynamic between the family. But we end up getting the news from the phone that they were able to steal from Ilya that, you know, Adam Taurus is actually in the process of performing a coup with the current leader of the White Fang, Sierra Khan, and wants to do the same, like, to have this mobilize all the White Fang forces on Mistral, on Haven, and actually have another beacon fallout that they had in last volume. And then we get to hear from Blake that she's had enough. I think that she's finally done running away, and she declares in front of her father, her mother, and son that, like, no, we're not going to destroy the White Fang. They're done. We're going to actually take it back. We're going to get the White Fang under our control. And I think this is probably where we're going to get to see Adam in the next chapter. But overall, Blake and probably her parents and son are going to be on a mission now to go find the White Fang, go find Adam Taurus, and actually reclaim the White Fang for their cause. You know, maybe Gira actually might come back as the new leader and actually lead the White Fang on this new mission, on their new goal, on this overall new path to where they're not, you know, this like extremist group, you know, terrorizing the masses, and where the Faunus can actually be seen as a symbol of peace. And I think that's the overall story now for Blake, is to reclaim the White Fang and have him be more of a peacekeeping Faunus group than this terrorist group. So I'm really excited to see where that story goes. And then all we're left with is with RWBY and Team Ranger. And this right here is where that cliffhanger comes in, and I'm really excited to see where the chapter goes, because we start off with Ren and Nora rushing down to Kuro Yuri. They're trying to make sure that RWBY and Jean and Crow are still alive. They catch up with them, and you can tell that RWBY and Jean know that something's up, because like, hey, did you hear that too? Because something's coming on its way. Ren is kind of starting to freak out, and that we have that Grimm show up. The Grimm, we get a tease of what it looks like. We can tell there's a horse involved with it, and it also has this demon devil-like face to it, and I think that's probably the person that's on it. And I actually want to give a shout out right now to one of my subscribers who actually, you know, brought this up to me, and this is his credit. I want to give full credit to him, because I would have never have guessed anything about this, but he actually gave me the name of what this Grimm is based off of, and it's called Nuckelavee. I might have text right here to have it spelt out, but I actually looked it up, and it actually resembles, or in the description of it, describes this Grimm perfectly. So the Nuckelavee is a horse-like demon from Orcadian mythology that combines equian and human elements. It has its origin in Norse mythology and is the most horrible of all the demons in Scotland's Northern Isles. So this is probably the inspiration for this new Grimm that we're getting, and I really can't wait to see what this Grimm is able to do, and I really can't wait to get the full reveal of its figure, of how it looks, because that demon face was fucking awesome. I absolutely love the design. I thought it was great, but I want to give that shout out to Luca Blight 69. So Luca Blight 69, if you're actually watching this video and it actually stuck it out up into this end, full credit goes to you for actually telling me that this Grimm is based on the Nuckelavee. So Lucas Blight 69, thank you so much. But I'm going to end it here, guys. This is my review of Chapter 11. I thought this was absolutely great, and you guys will see my reaction to this episode when it comes out on Saturday. So if any of you are catching my RWBY content for the first time and are fans of RWBY, you can subscribe to my channel to actually catch up with all reactions, reviews, discussions, and theories, because this is one of the series that I'm following right now, and I absolutely love this series. So if you guys are a fan as well and want to get in on the conversation that I'm having with all the RWBY fan base, or at least some of the RWBY fan base, subscribe to my channel. We can have a lot of fun, you know, talking, and especially when RWBY is in the off season, I'm still going to be doing RWBY content here and there, so definitely subscribe to get up to that, so that way we can at least keep RWBY alive until the fall of this year when RWBY comes back for Volume 5. But that's going to be it for this video, guys. So until my live reaction or my reviews of RWBY content that we're soon going to be getting, and the end of Volume 4, I'll talk with you guys then. Alright guys, see you later.